beginning of each new year, I'd like to remind the entire university family about the importance of a good Christian education, and I'd like to do that now. Why have you come here to study? And why do my colleagues and I work here? You could have chosen many other places. Why here? Just in case you think that the faculty and staff came here because of the money, well, let's not even go there. Mind you, in this economic crisis, with an unemployment rate of more than 15% in the state of Michigan, and the state of California almost bankrupt, having a job is something to be thankful for, actually. And being able to attend a good Christian university is a real blessing. But if it's not the money that motivates us, what is it? It is a conviction that education, Christian education, costly though it is, trumps ignorance every time. And a Christian education, particularly, that builds both character and competence, is worth its weight in gold, literally. So let me ask, why do we do this Christian education thing here? And if this sounds a bit too much like George Bush talk, let me say it this way. Why do we choose this Christian university as a place to study and work? Here are some things we often say to each other. Well, we seek a Christian education in order to preserve and strengthen our faith in Christ and our commitment to the mission of His church. Of course, that is right. Just think of our middle name. Affirm faith. I mean the university's middle name. I know that pastors Dwight and Ron and the entire campus ministries team would like nothing better than to help you confirm your commitment to Christ and get you engaged in a rewarding life of service to others. So that is a good reason. Others may say, well, we seek a Christian education to make certain that the knowledge we receive and share is also the truth. And that is right. Christian educators are a little bit discriminating when it comes to what they teach. For there is a lot of knowledge in the world, sometimes called the knowledge of good and evil, and not all of it is true. So we Christian educators like to look what we teach in the white of its eye before we dispense it. That's not always easy. One time I had a very clever colleague who told his students, listen carefully to what I say and what I teach. In time, half of it will prove to be true, and the other half will prove to be false. The problem is, I don't know now which half will be true and which half will fall by the wayside. That's a bit of a joke, but it means that knowledge always changes and increases, and we discover new things. And so we Christian educators must be humble about what we know and what we teach and share with others. And I'm sure the deans and department chairs and faculty are keenly aware of that. And they will help you seek the kind of knowledge most likely to stand the test of time. And they will be ready to change what they teach when new evidence shows up. Still others will point out that Christian education always takes place in community. Have you noticed that real believers are never solitary persons, never lone riders, never I can do this thing by myself type of people? The Bible actually makes that very clear. Think for a moment of some of the Bible characters who failed in life. They were lone people who wanted to do things their own way all by themselves. Cain, the brother of Abel, I know how to sacrifice. Lot, the nephew of Abraham, I know where to live. The Pharaoh of Egypt, I know how to treat my workers. Saul, the king of Israel, I'm taller than anybody else, I can do this king thing. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, I'm the big shot. Peter walking on water. Look, I can do it. Big mistake. And Judas planning all by himself to make himself rich on his Lord. To the contrary, real Christians grow in faith and learn together. There's a social side to Christian education, a community side. Big socials for hundreds and small socials for just the two of you. In fact, these big socials and small socials are an important part of Christian education, it is true. Of course, I remember how exciting it was when I moved from the big socials to the little socials just for the two of us. And my wife Demetra is here as evidence that it worked. We met in college, in socials. Oh yes, it's a good reason to be at Andrews. I hope you will have the same rich and rewarding social and community experiences at Andrews. It's an important part of Christian education. So these are some of the things we often think of when we ask, why Christian education? But what I really want to tell you this morning is that Christian education is an extraordinary idea. Like a bumblebee, too big to fly, but it does. Something a former colleague of mine once called sanctified impertinence. Something so audacious that we should not be allowed to do it, yet God has invited us to, and so we go for it. One of my friends, Dean Don May, is working on a book dealing with the essentials of a Christian education at Andrews, meaning those big ideas we dare call Christian around here. What are they? What is it all about? Yes, these things do happen, even in a small school like Andrews, yet it's big enough to change the world. Like Jesus, operating a one-man school with 12 students in his class, yet with a plan to change the world. And you know what? He actually did it. So what is this audacious thing we call Christian education at Andrews? First, Jesus himself started it. And real Christians have never let go of that idea. Have you ever wondered why God chose to become a teacher when he arrived on this earth as a human being? Well, you say Jesus was a carpenter. Well, his stepfather was a carpenter, and I'm sure Jesus learned to work with wood. But as soon as he left home, he changed his profession immediately and became a teacher. That's what he was called, rabbi, and that's what he did. He had students, and he taught them lessons. Now, many of his contemporaries at the time were convinced that God would come to earth as a prince, as a military leader to chase out Romans, as a Messiah king, or someone important in the church or in